welcome to the webcast on repurposing 3D models for publishing in an XML technical publication webcast. Here's how to participate today. All participants will be in a listen-only mode. You can submit your questions, and at the end we'll go through as many questions as possible at the end of the presentation. My name is Joe Ferret. I will be your moderator today, and then we have David Manock here. He's going to present to you today as well. So here's an agenda for today. We're going to go through a quick introduction on Barry-Wehmiller International, and then David's going to go through the webcast on repurposing 3D models for publishing, and then at the end we'll go through a quick Q&A. So a little bit about Barry-Wehmiller International. We're a worldwide organization in business going on 130 years. We're headquartered in St. Louis, Missouri, and we have approximately 7,000 employees, and we're approaching $2 billion in revenue. Barry-Wehmiller is much more than just a PTC partner. We're a total solutions provider helping manufacturers across the entire product development spectrum. So we have Barry-Wehmiller, we have expertise in putting all the pieces of product development together, from engineering, design, and development, and onshore and offshore applications, to ERP and enterprise systems, all the way to PML solutions. We have a great PLM team here at Barry-Wehmiller. So we are a PTC Platinum partner covering the entire U.S. and Canada. We are the leading authorized training partner for PTC. We have 7 training centers across the U.S., and we're opening 3 more. One thing to note here is our application engineers have over 15 years experience using Pro E and Creo in real-world and classroom environments. So here's some of our customers. There's just a few of our customers that we work with. You notice these are some of our larger customers. But at Barry-Wehmiller, we also understand that small businesses have the same issues as the larger companies, and we work with small, medium-sized businesses on all PTC products. And so now I'm going to hand over the presentation to David, and he's going to go through the webcast with you.
Okay, thank you, and good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully everybody's seeing this. Let me just...
We can see it.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys. Yeah, good afternoon. My accent is English, but I'm actually in Florida. So if you're hearing any thunder in the background, that's because we're just in the middle of a storm at the moment. So fingers crossed we make it through the webinar without any power failures. But if you hear any thunder in the background, then you're hearing the storm. So thanks for that introduction. As I said, this is about repurposing your 3D models in an XML technical publication. So this is what I'm hoping to go through. It should take about 40 minutes, something like that. It's going to be mainly demonstrating software, so please there's not too many slides involved, but there are some as usual, just to position the presentation. So thanks for the introduction. Creo Illustrate is one of the products we're going to be showing today. This is the main, probably the crux of the presentation, because this is where we're going to repurpose that CAD data for delivery into the XML publication or into other deliverables as well. So I'll talk about XML, but I'll also talk about how you might deliver this in a 3D medium as well. I'm also going to touch on very briefly another product called Arbortext IsoDraw. These are all PTC products, by the way, and this is a 2D illustration software. So there could be, you still have 2D graphics you need to actually maintain. So this still is a very good product. It still serves a purpose for many companies. So we'll kind of touch on that, and it also creates files suitable for XML publication as well. And there is a connection between that and Creo Illustrate. Finally, we'll look at the Arbortext Editor, which is the XML publisher. So I don't think a lot of people are aware that there's these other products in the PTC range. It's some of these companies, they were purchased some years ago really to answer this question of delivering technical publications. And they're all becoming integrated with Windchill and so forth. So it's a really good suite of applications that PTC have now. So we're doing the product demonstrations, and then we'll do a summary and a Q&A right at the end. So who are we? Vizualsite is we're a partner of Barry-Wehmiller. We see a lot of synergy with what they're trying to achieve, especially in the service lifecycle management space. We've got over 20 years experience in the technical publications industry. We provide Arbortext services, so consultancy and training. So we can add that to the service of Barry-Wehmiller International. We've got very specific skills in specifications such as S1000D, which is for the military. US defense companies are using this specification. ISPEC 2200, which is a commercial aerospace specification, and we have experience of that, and also DITA, which is more of a more common probably specification for the creation of XML data. So we have experiences all those three. And we also do some software development, XSLT, APIs, and custom developments as well. So thinking about technical graphics and or thinking about CAD models and so forth, what does the illustration workflow look like today? It looks very different to what it did probably 15 years ago. So what we have now is obviously a lot of 3D CAD data. So illustrations now can actually be associated with that data. So a 2D illustration that would be delivered in a publication could be associated or linked back to the 3D CAD data and automatically get updated, which is a big time saver and obviously productivity thing. So this is something that wasn't there in the past. But we can also work standalone as well. So there's probably a lot of legacy data that still needs maintaining, still 2D CAD data as well. And so illustrations sometimes are still originated in a 2D form. It depends if there's CAD data available or not. That's probably very rare though nowadays. And finally, we'd have some kind of archive. Now this archive could be in Windchill as the 3D CAD data is, or it could be a separate archive of legacy information that has been built up over the years. So Creo Illustrate. This is the first demonstration we're going to do today. What's Creo Illustrate about? It's a way of really repurposing those 3D CAD models that you have in your company, but more in line to actually deliver them to the customer, or perhaps as a process, a work instruction for the shop floor. So it's really got to be easy to follow, very literal in the way that you actually describe things, so somebody can repair or maintain the equipment. So a bit of a different use to actually the engineering data. It can also create 2D illustrations from it, but again 3D as well. So we'll look at how we create like some 3D animations in there. We'll do some simple things in there, and then show you those, how you would publish those back. And on the real crux today, we're going to go to XML, which would usually be 2D, and we want to create 2D technical illustrations from that 3D data. So we'll be doing all those things. Okay, so there's the slides for now. I'm just going to switch over to Creo Illustrate. So this is the interface. Could look a bit daunting to begin with, but it's pretty straightforward once you get into the software. We have all these panels here. These can be turned off and on in the bottom left, so we can tidy up this panel if we don't need a particular one. then we can turn it off and on down here. We can even actually go to full screen. We also have tabs across the top. They're pretty self-explanatory. We say animation, sectioning, and figures and so forth. So home is our main tab, and then file if we want to actually bring in an illustration or a CAD model. So that's what we'll do to begin with. We'll bring in a CAD model. Now we can say open. Now open really refers to the file in its native format. So once you bring the model in, you could actually save it and save it as a native Creo Illustrate file, which then would save you actually reopening the model. So you can save as this C3DI file, and it also makes the model much smaller as well. For the purposes of this demonstration, what I'm going to do is actually import something new, and you see we've got two choices here. We can either link it or embed it. Link means it's going to link us back. We'll have some kind of dynamic link from the model to our illustration that we're going to create. So let's say link, and I'm going to choose this particular file here. This is a PVZ file, but we have other options here, so we're not limiting it to Creo files or PTC files. There's DWG in here as well, so there's different file types we can actually bring in. So let's open that file. And it then gives me the option to, I can link it in two ways. One, update it after I confirm that I'm happy with the update, or always do. I think this one is probably the safest, that you actually have to confirm that there's an update is actually valid, and then I can do the update. So now we're creating that link with the engineering file. This is a standard file that PTC actually supply with the software. So it's a good, if you actually get the software, then you'll see this is the file that you go through tutorials with and so forth. We have tested a lot of files through here from customers, but obviously some of them are proprietary, so it's much better just to show this standard file, and you'll still get the idea of how to use the software. So it's brought in here, it says figure 1. And what I can do is, which I think is a really powerful thing with this, is you can create different figures or different views of this particular model. So I'm going to create one overall view to begin with by just saying use current view. If I then go to figures, we'll see that it's actually saved that view over here. Now what I've got the option now is to actually say I want a different view of it, or I just want to see one part of it. I don't know if you see when I move over here, it's actually highlighting particular components or assemblies. So I want to actually highlight this one here, which is the caliper, and I think you can see on the left that highlights. So when I actually click on something, it highlights in the S-BOM over here. So we have the service BOM, and we also have access to the engineering BOM. If I make changes in here, that does not affect the engineering data, so you've always got that protection. So I want to get the whole of this assembly. So I'm just going to click this in the tree view, the top level of the assembly, and now I've got just the caliper part. If I right click, I can then say open this as a new figure. So it's just going to bring this particular part in as its own figure. So I've quickly just disseminated that part away from the main assembly. And again, I can use this as a new figure. Select that current view, and that will be my view. So again, I go to figures, and now we've got the two, so I can quickly move between them. Okay, the other thing I can do here is I can right click, and I can rename this. So I can give rather than just keep calling them figure 1, it'll just go on forever, I can actually say I want to give this to be the exploded view. So I'm just renaming it. Okay, and I can do the same again. So I'm going to take a few views of this, and we'll use this as a current view, and I'm going to rename this as animation, so we'll do some animation. Okay, and I'm going to do the final one. Sorry about this. And this final one is going to be what we call a sequence. So as you can see, it's easy just to right click and rename, and then I've got those views that I want. Okay, so I'm going back to the original figure up here, the exploded view. So if I want to create now a technical illustration of this to go into that XML publication, there's a couple of things I need to do. I could just use it as it is, but for this particular example, I want to use this as an exploded view. So what I can do is I can transform this. So I can pick up these individual parts and I can move them away. And you can see it gives you a measurement as you move them away. And I can pick up these screws. And hopefully I can pick up more than one at a time, so I could just bring these out. I can zoom in and out if I need to as well. And then let's move these away. And then I can move the casing away, the calipers as well. Let's just move this part a bit further this way. So you can see I begin to work with the model. So I'll just move that out. So what I do, I want to get into a position where I can create an exploded view with the actual annotations, so I can annotate each part. So I just need to separate them a bit more. I could do a lot more work on this, but obviously for this purpose, you'll see that we're going to create quite a lot in this time that we've got today. Okay, so the other thing is I'm working on a laptop. I would hope if you get the software that you'll be working on a much bigger screen than this. So apologies for the size. I might be able to bring that a bit bigger so we can see it. Okay, so now I want to annotate this. So what I do is I've got a particular annotation tool, which is up here. And this is kind of a standard thing with illustration, that we have a leader line and then a number within it. It's also in CAD as well. So I then choose the part and then I drag out. Okay. So I'm just dragging around. You'll notice on here that when I get to these items, that we have two number 6s because there's actually 2 off of that particular screw. So the software is intelligent enough to know that, and also the same will apply. In fact, we could actually change the caliper. We have another option here to do it by quantity, which it doesn't seem to want to work. Let's just go back. There we go. So there's 2 of those. So that's number 2 times 2. So we've created the annotation. Obviously, this is rendered in a particular way, which is shaded a bit more like the CAD model, but we can actually render in different ways as well. So if I just go to figure here, we have different ways of rendering this. So if you want more kind of an artistic kind of view, you can do that kind of on the fly. Some of them are quite nice, others not so good. One with just coloured lines as an outline. And we can save all these again in different figures if we want to and replay them back. Okay, what I'm going to do is going to do a hidden line removal. So it's going to look a bit like this, so a bit more like a technical illustration. And how I do that is I go to my file menu and I save the figure as a illustration file. And here I've got 2D formats. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the CGM format, because I know that format works well with Arbortext Editor. These other formats you can see are IsoDraw, which we'll look at briefly in a few minutes, but I'm going to use CGM. And I'm going to put it in a particular directory so I can find it. So I'm going to call this Exploded View Creo, and then we'll save that. So at this point now it gives me some options. So it's going to do a hidden line removal. It's going to create this technique, which is an illustration technique called thick and thin. I can optimize this so it's got Bezier curves. So this would be more if I was going to then take it somewhere else and use it in another piece of software, such as IsoDraw. I'll use these anyway. And then we can use different profiles on here. So I'm going to choose WebCGM. So I might be able to have time to explain a bit about profiles in a bit. But basically, CGM is an open format. It's not proprietary. So it gives us a good way of actually moving the files around and being interoperable. So I'm going to say OK. And it's actually created that in that directory. I'm not going to go to it now. But this is that kind of the first part of the demonstration, is that now I've created that illustration from the CAD model, which is then going to go later on in the presentation into the XML editor, so for further publication of the technical manual. Okay, so I'm going to move on from there, just to show the repurpose of the data could also be done for a 3D deliverable as well. So to do that, I'm going to go to the next one, which is animation. You can see now how useful the figures are, because I've now got the exploded view in that particular state, and these at the moment have been untouched. So the animation, we've got the animation tab up here. I'm going to click Advanced, and I know you see there's a red dot at the top here. That means we're recording. So actually, whatever we do now in this session is we're going to record it. So the first thing I'm going to do, similar to before, I'm going to transform this. So I'm going to take this top clip away from here. Hopefully. There we go. So I don't know if you can see down the bottom. This is why I need this other window up, is that we're beginning to create a timeline. And so you can see the animation. It even gives us the part number of which we've just exploded there as well. So let's just move this down again. So what I'm beginning to do now is beginning to explode this. So say this particular this screw, I've got an effect that I can apply where I can unscrew it. Now don't worry, it's going to go the wrong direction and to begin with, and I'll explain why. Because it's automatically done it, and it's automatically, unfortunately, done it in the wrong direction. So what I need to do now is just say it's the wrong way, it's gone down plus instead of minus. So I don't know if you could see that was actually turning. Might be difficult to see within the webinar. That part actually turned. I'm going to click OK to that. So you can see there's another added to the timeline down the bottom here with that actual effect taking place. And what I can do now is actually, hopefully, pick up the others. It's not always easy just to get these particular parts. And I think I can apply these effects to all of them, but obviously in the other direction. So now I've taken all of these unscrewed all these screws. I'm going to click OK. Happy with that. And now I'm going to move them all away. So just move them away from the casing. So everything I'm doing is recording. It's just going out of range down the bottom here, but you'll begin to see the timeline build up. So at any time now, if I just zoom back out again, I can play this animation back. So that was happening quite quickly. So that you can extend these timelines out. So you're slowing them down so that actually we're going to extend the time out that it takes to do certain functions. So once you've done it, you're not actually limited in what you do. You can still edit it after you've done the animation. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is these particular parts, now that I've exploded them. Oops, I just need to select that one. I want to actually fade them away. So these are all effects they can do. So I can fade those out So if I play that back again now, each part will explode, and then it will fade out, and then it gives me the opportunity to actually explode these other parts. So I've got those out of the way. So I'm going to move this part away, and this one. And then I'm down to the calipers, and I'm going to take that way on it in that direction. Okay, I think you're beginning to get the idea. And I think the key thing is the speed that I'm doing this as well. So this could be then repurposed. I can export this as a movie, like a WMV file or MPEG file. I could put it into a PDF file. I could use it in Creo View. So let me just go to, here we have this ability to publish a preview. And I'm going to say 3D. And then I see all my figures. And then I can play that back. So it's pretty much what I've just done, but it's going to be look more like it would do in, say, Creo View. Okay, again, powerful in PDF as well, because I could get that out to obviously a lot more people using the Adobe Reader. So the final part I want to do is go into the figure again. I want to go to my sequence, and with this particular one, this is very similar to before, so I won't labor on this too long. But this is more if you were doing if you're doing like a procedure. So you wanted to actually give some notes to actually remove certain things, but they have to be wary of something else, like a warning. So a procedure that you might have written down in a technical publication, but this time a 3D procedure, but still with the text. So I'm going to add a new step, and what I'm going to do is very similar to before. I'm going to transform this. So I'm just going to pull this part away. Okay, so that's step one. And what I can do now is create some text. So I'm actually writing this down, and then we actually will see this appear when we play this back. And we'll go, and you then got the ability to go through this in sequence as the procedure. So really useful if you're assembling something or disassembling something. So now I'm going to take my add another step. This time I'm going to take those screws out again. So sorry if it's a bit repetitive, but I think it's good that you see that I can work with this particular part of the assembly in different ways. So I'm going to create that effect again where I unscrew it. Okay, and then I'm just going to move that away. Okay, so if I add notes into this step, I'm going to remove the screws. Okay. So I can preview the sequence in here. I could publish again to see what it would look like in, say, Creo View. And obviously it doesn't play back automatically, so I have to just click on here. There's the text, remove clip, remove the screws. And I could use the same effects as I did before. And we could also put warnings and cautions on this as well if certain things are hot, or if it's maintenance, you could put notes on that you need to oil this area. And so really useful tool if you want to deliver either to your customer or internally if you're assembling equipment or disassembling equipment. Okay, so I'd like just to end it there on the Creo Illustrate. I think hopefully that gives you a good flavour of the software, and we'll move on. So just going back to the figures before, you'll remember right at the beginning we created this CGM file, which we're going to look at in a few minutes in the XML publisher. We've got the animation and we've got the sequence all from that file, and this is where we started with that original model. Okay, I'm going to move on to IsoDraw, so just quickly go back to the slides. So IsoDraw was around for many years, so it's been a 2D technical illustration program, kind of the professional tool that's been used by many different types of companies, from commercial type companies, machinery, manufacturing, mining, through to defense companies such as Boeing and so forth. So it's got a really wide range of users and is still widely used today. As I said, it's a 2D drawing program. It can import 3D, but I think now that Creo Illustrate's around, I think the combination of the two is much more powerful than IsoDraw's 3D import capabilities. It's great for maintaining legacy illustrations in vector or raster format. It's got a macro facility where you can automate tasks, and you can import, or as you could see from Creo Illustrate, it supports the IsoDraw format, so I could actually bring in illustrations from Creo Illustrate as well. As Creo Illustrate does, it supports the CGM format, which is an open format. So if you're in the defense industry or airline industry, then that's really important that you support that format, because both those particular specifications require CGM as their deliverable for technical illustrations. So even if you've got 3D, at the moment there is no kind of 3D format for those specs, but there is a 2D, so you can easily deliver him and be compliant. Okay, IsoDraw, I'm not going to go too long on IsoDraw. So just to do a few things so we can draw very easily. And I think with the program, if there's something like photographic that you want to trace over, then it can be very easy to do that. If something hasn't even been modeled yet, you can begin to create illustrations very quickly. We can create things like threads and so forth. So things that could be missing off the CAD model as well, we can apply very easily and quickly. So things like external threads, we can create those. Bezier curve. So it's more of a graphics program. Very good if you need to do kind of complex curves. If there's got hoses, then we can create those very quickly. And it supports all those formats that we spoke about before, which is CGM, or it can support EPS and things like that. So it could go into Word or into other graphics technical desktop publishing programs. So I think there's still a place for IsoDraw, and still a lot of users out there. But obviously nowadays, a lot of information is now coming from the CAD models, and that's what we're really showing today. Okay, so now talking about XML, because that's one of the topics for today. Is with Arbortext Editor and Styler, PTC have really the leading brands or the leading products in this area. There's quite a few different XML editors out there that you can get, and some obviously are even free on the net. But I would say Arbortext Editor has been a leading one in most kind of manufacturing type industries. It's kind of a de facto standard. It was I just noticed Arbortext is spelled wrong, so I'll apologize for that. With Arbortext, that was the original company name, and it was one of the PTC acquisitions, and they retained that as the brand because it was so strong. So there could be even users of Arbortext Editor on the line today. So you'll recognize how powerful it is and how robust it is. So it can create reusable components. It can work different specifications, and it's really for publishing those technical manuals, suite of technical manuals to your customers. Styler is another product from PTC. It's slightly different, and we're talking about XML, and we'll talk about that a bit more in a few minutes, is that you need some way to actually style the actual data, the tag data, the XML data. So a bit different from looking at Word and then actually seeing what you get is what you print out. This is all tagged information, so we need some way of interpreting those tags and actually giving the output that we require, either to PDF or to the web. So Styler is a way of creating those style sheets. So I really describe XML as structured authoring, and it's also single source because we have one source, and that's the XML data, and from there we can go into different formats or different deliverables. So we can even easily personalize data as well, or make it pertinent to a different languages or different customers, because everything is tagged. So XML, if you didn't know, was originated in 1996. It's non-proprietary, which is the key for many companies. It's a great way of interchanging data. So, God forbid if Arbortext Editor went away, then it's easy to port that information into another editor. So that's the whole point here. We're not working with proprietary data. We're working with something that's interoperable between different systems and probably companies. So XSL is the style sheet, and this is where Styler comes in. So we'd have different types of style sheet for different outputs. So XSLT, probably you might have heard that for the web, and also XSLFO is more for PDF output. So different types of style sheet for different types of output, but Styler handles all of those. So this is a bit what single source publishing looks like. So we've got XML, then we've got in between the XSL style sheets, and then we've got our different output formats. Today we'll probably look at the web and PDF. The final part here is that there's also what we call a schema for XML. And the schema really is a set of rules. So, and it enforces a certain way that you actually author the data. For many kind of writers, this might seem something that's restricting them, but it actually helps in a way because it gives them a structure to work to actually add content. And then they can divorce themselves from what it actually looks like. So they can just author the data, author the content, concentrate on that, getting the best possible information to the customer. But then actually the styling is done by a style sheet. So you can still preview it, but their main focus would be on content. So schema is a set of rules. Also with XML we have, just to make things even more complicated, is a set of specifications. So these are kind of schemas that have already been written, if you want to think of it that way. So things like DITA, although that is kind of more open in the way that you interpret it and the way that you use it. Then there's S1000D, which is mainly military, but also now used in commercial aerospace as well. If you've seen the Dreamliner, then that is all the technical publications for the 787 is done using the specification S1000D. And then there's the specific or the older specification for the airlines and the commercial aircraft manufacturers called iSpec 2200, which is more of like a book-based system. S1000D is what we call data module, so it's more like chunks of data. And DITA is pretty much the same as that. So to actually work with these specifications, you would usually need something within say Arbortext Editor that enables that to happen more quickly. You could do it from scratch, but it's easier if you've got an application to help you. So Editor with the Arbortext Editor is supplied with Arbortext Service Manual application, which we'll take a look at today. And then there's some other products we do. My company does a couple of them for S1000D, S1D Author, which works with Arbortext, and also IS2 Author, which works with the iSpec 2200 specification. So basically, these make you compliant with the spec. So this is the final part of the demonstration part of the presentation today. So I'm going to go to Arbortext. It looks nothing like the two pieces of software we've seen before, and in first it can look very complicated. But there's a lot in here that you would probably never use, and that's probably true of a lot of pieces of software. So I wouldn't say it was too daunting. So what I'm going to do is save File and New. And we can see the application we've got here, that one I mentioned a few seconds ago, Service Manual Application, is up at the top. And it gives us templates to work with, so we don't have to start from nothing. We can work from scratch. Sorry, we can work from with some help from the templates. And we also get a sample as well. So the sample, we can actually see some work that has been done before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the sample of what we call the DITA map. So what's the DITA map? The map is really your table of contents, and it's a way of assembling the manual. But we can do this in a way that's drag and drop. So we can create chapters. We can with different, obviously, topics in here. So if I scroll down, you can see we've got the electrical system, and below that chapter is the actual data. So battery and cables and so forth. So I'm just going to go down to, here we have the disc brake, and if I double click on that, that opens that particular document. So this is an individual, what we call topic, or in this case, this is a procedure, which is part of the overall manual. So you can see this is what we call tagged. So this is our XML. So I apologize if I'm being a bit kind of oversimplifying this for some on the line, but you're probably more familiar with this when you see HTML and so forth. So everything is actually tagged when we create the document. So the author or the writer is just really writing in between these tags. So that's where he's putting his content. There's no styling because at the moment I've not applied anything to it. If I do, then I can go to, if I just want to quickly see what this looks like, I go to Publish and say PDF file, click OK, and it'll publish that. So you can see this particular style sheet is 2 columns. It has a title that's in blue and so forth, so you can see how it's actually laid that out. Obviously totally different to what I see here. So what I'm going to attempt to do is I'm going to insert a figure. So what I've just done on the keyboard there, so unfortunately I can't show you that, is I've hit return. And return shows me all the tags that are actually allowed in that particular point. So I want to put a figure in. And now what I want to do is actually bring in that illustration that we did. So I'll put it on the desktop. And I think I would put it in here. Let me just see if you can see it. Yep, it's there. So I'm going to insert that. And there's that illustration. So then that's now part of my publication. So we've gone from the 3D CAD, we've created the 2D illustration, we've put on the annotations, we've created that thick and thin technique, and now it's part of that XML publication. So we've taken it right through from the original data into something that we're going to deliver to the customer. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll just save that and close that down. So what if we need a new topic in here? So perhaps we want to add something to the brake system. Then I just need to indicate where I want it to be, and they say we want a new procedure. So this time, rather than have, it's not sample data anymore, this is a brand new topic. So I'm going to put in something quite obvious. Sorry about my typing. So I'm going to say new procedure. I'm going to insert it at this point. Okay, so it's added in. So I'm now double clicking on this, and you can see it's kind of a blank document. Because it's a procedure, it has a step associated with it. So if I hit return again, I can add my next step. Could be the procedure I've just done before. Obviously, I haven't got that time to actually add in all the different steps here. Be a bit boring as well. Okay. And what I also want to do is add in what we call a reference, an index item. So you can see it's quite quick just to return, and then I'll get to index term. I'm going to put caliper in here. Okay, and I might even put that figure in as well. So let's go back. We'll put it in here at this point as well. You probably have your a better layout for your files, so you can find them a lot easier than I can today. Okay, so there's my new procedure. I'm going to save that. Okay, so let's go back to the map. And instead of publishing an individual document, now what I'm going to do is publish the whole manual. So if I go back, so I insert my cursor at the top, so that's the top level of the tree. Publish, PDF file. Okay, this will take a bit longer. We should see all the pages going through. It's going to create me a table of contents, an index. It doesn't take too long. And here we have the manual. So here's the table of contents. Trying to see if I can see my new procedure, which is here. Very small, sorry about that. Probably see there's the illustrations that are created. And I think we'll get down to the index. And we should see caliper, which is on page 12. So I've published that, but I've also obviously put something new in and actually inserted the illustration that I've done as well. And the final part is just to prove this is XML is a single source, multiple outputs. I'm also going to create HTML. This just takes slightly longer. And this isn't the greatest style sheet. Oh, it's very quick this time. Very quick this time. That put me off. And we got care of paint, and so this is all interactive. I don't think it's the greatest style sheet I've seen, but it does the job, I think. You can see there we've gone from so it's single source publishing. Okay. So I'd like to just end at that point. Let me just go back to the slides. So just to summarize, I really believe PTC have got a real holistic publication suite, you know, along with their engineering and PDM, PLM software as well. So SLM, Service Lifecycle Management, which this actually fits into, is a very strong area for PTC as well. It's good links. We can link back into Windchill and you know, manage all this data, and that includes the XML data as well. So it's not only managing your CAD models, it's also managing now your technical publications as well. So that's an extension on top of what you've already got. So we looked at Creo Illustrate. You can see that it can go to 2D, or we could use it in a 3D world as well and deliver, you know, very kind of compelling graphics for our end users or internally. We've got the Arbortext IsoDraw application if we're going to do 2D illustration or maintain illustrations we've already created. And then we have Arbortext Editor to publish those technical manuals in an XML environment. So thank you very much. I'll probably pass you back to Matt, I think. Is it Matt? Or Jason, sorry. Hi. I don't know if we had any questions.
Yeah, 1 second. We'll get it right up.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for attending our webcast today. This webcast has been recorded, so if you'd like to view it at a later time, you can go to the Barry-Wehmiller website at www.b-wi.com. We'll also post this on our YouTube page with our other PTC archive webcasts. So it's youtube.com/customer-driven-tech. Then you can always go to the Barry-Wehmiller website if you need PTC certified training as well to find a course that's right for you. So here we are with our question and answer, and we do have a few questions today, David.
Okay. Fire away.
So the first one is they want to know if they can customize the call-out size.
Yes, you can. One of the things I didn't show, I don't know if I can quickly go back to that. No, I can't, can I? I've shared your screen back. Yes is the answer. If you kind of right-click on one of the annotations, or you set it up to begin with, you can customize the size, the font size, and the size of the circle, and the width of the lines, and so forth. So yes.
Okay, next question. If the source 3D model is incomplete, missing hardware, etc., can parts be added manually in Creo Illustrate and be recognized in the SBOM?
Yes, you can add parts as well to the SBOM, yeah. And obviously, if parts are added later in the engineering data, then it will update as well. But you can add parts in Creo Illustrate as well, yeah.
Okay, next question is, how do you create stamps in Creo?
That's a good question. There are stamps already like for approved, and I believe you can add to those. So it's not something I looked at today, but there is a menu that says stamps. So if there's somebody who's already got the software and they've not figured out, I'll have to go away and do it. But if it's somebody new to the software, then there is stamps there, say approved or work in progress, things like that you can put on. And I believe you can add new ones of your own.
Okay, next question is, are SolidWorks files compatible?
Good question. I would say I need to go away and think about that one. I don't believe native files are, but you can use other formats like IGES and so forth. But I can make a note of that one.
Okay. Does Creo Illustrate work with Creo Elements Direct?
I don't know. I don't know that question. I don't know the answer to that. That's something we'll have to come back to you on. Okay.
Alrighty. And one more here. How do you publish an animation in a PDF?
You can save as a PDF file, and it will retain the animation in there. So there's an option to publish as PDF, and when you do that, the animation, when you open the PDF file, the animation works. It kind of just plays it back in one loop, but it does work, because PDF, as you probably know, supports 3D.
Okay. Is there a way to illustrate wire routing directly in Creo Illustrate?
I would say no. I would no. It's
Okay.
not really an illustration package as such. It's repurposing data rather than creating data.
Okay. And what issues arise with a linked illustration when the underlying model created in Creo Parametric changes?
There shouldn't be any, to be honest. The only decision you have to make is if you want to update that model, or in Creo Illustrate. And as long as you've chosen that option, you'll get the ability to say yes, I want to update it, or not. So I don't believe there would be any issues if you linked it. There could be if you link it automatically and it automatically updates and you don't want it to. Yeah, that could be an issue. If that was the question.
Okay. If your 3D Creo assembly file already has an exploded view, is it possible to import the existing view into Illustrate?
Yeah, it should be, yeah. Yep.
Okay. And then what file formats can the animation be saved as?
The animation is it's mainly like a WMV, a movie file, or it could be done as a PDF. But it also could work in there's a few. It could also work as a Creo view file as well. So Creo view, PDF, and then a movie file, something you would see in YouTube or something like that. Ideal if you're doing like marketing things, you're going to show it in on a video screen at an event, which somebody I'm working with at the moment is doing that.
Okay, well, one last question here. Can we edit already recorded videos and animations?
It depends. They'd need to be in the right format. So if they've been done in some other piece of software, some other animation piece of software, then it's doubtful. But if they're done within the environment, then you can change them as much as you like within the Creo Illustrate environment. If you're bringing them in from something else, then it has to be a compatible format. And if it was done in Flash, definitely not. So it really depends what type of files you're talking about from what source.
Great, thanks, David. Appreciate your time today. That's the end of our presentation. If you need to speak with an expert about technical publications, my contact information is there. joseph.ferret@b-wi.com, or you can reach me directly at 314-394-0870. Once again, thanks for attending.